Hi, my name is Ron Boats and you are watching liveprog.
Hello there, welcome to liveprog.com. My name is Marcel Haster and I am your host for this video review. Now, as you can see behind me, I am not in my usual spot. As a matter of fact, I am somewhere else. I am in the Dream Studio. Now, why am I here? That has, of course, everything to do with the album I'm going to present to you. Now, it is this one. I hope you can see it, because it is a little bit dark here, but the album is Pythagoras by Synthex. Gather from the setup behind me, yes, this is electronic music, but this is a rather special album and I have a rather special connection with it. Well, to start with my connection, and maybe that doesn't make me the most qualified person to do a review of it, but well, who cares? Here I am doing it because I think this young man deserves support. Synthex is actually Jeffrey Haster, and yes, you guessed it, he is my son. And he released his debut album. He released it on the E-Live Festival on October 27th, 2012, which was of course, well, an amazing day, an amazing event to promote and present his first album. He started working on this music when he was only 12 years old. He didn't have all this set up, no, he had one synthesizer, a keyboard and a few other instruments to help him with. And well, I can already say that what you hear on this album is what was played on the album. You know, there's no MIDI used, everything was played real time. There are even a couple of, well, let's say acoustic instruments used that Synthex recorded only with the help of a small, well, very simple, cheap microphone. He borrowed mine. So, with that in mind, you know, you gotta understand that this is really something special. I mean, what kind of music do kids these days listen to? I believe they listen to Justin Bieber. I have no idea what he sounds like, but he seems to be popular. Well, Synthex never listened to that kind of music, never even cared for that kind of music. His hero was, and probably still is, Jean Michel Jarre. He discovered him at a young age. When he got his first keyboard, he had an opportunity to play the piano at his grandparents' house, and he really fell in love with these black and white keys, and he played them any chance he got. As time went by, I heard a change. You know, the well, sounds became music, and it grew from there on. And I gotta say, he really developed an interest in this music. Now, when you have a 12-year-old that loves the Berlin School of Electronic Music, that's quite rare. So therefore I say, you know, even though I'm his father, I say I support this one. I think a boy that makes this kind of music deserves a video review on liveprog. So here I am, bringing a video review. In the end, it's a really beautiful album. I'm gotta say myself, I am very surprised how well he created the songs, how well he composed them, how well he performed them, how well he recorded them. He had a little bit of help, especially in the end, because although he composed and recorded and performed, of course, all the songs by himself, the mastering was done by none other than Ron Boats. Now, if you're not familiar with him, you better look him up, because he's one of, well, the most influential electronic musicians in the Netherlands. And he also helped in releasing this album, so you can find it at the Groove Unlimited label. that's the background story. What about the music? I already mentioned the Berlin School of EM. That you find especially in the first two tracks, Pythagoras Part 1 and Part 2. They are basically one long track of 24 minutes cut in two parts, which has a lot of long melodies, sequencing, wind sounds, nice melodies, nice solos on top of it. The last 7 minutes there's some more activity. You get some sort of a heavy industrial sounding bass, you know, just like you hear a machine at work, you know, but again with those melodies on top. Very nice. The third track is probably one of my favorites of this album, called Samos, and it is more inspired by Vangelis. When you listen to it, you can hear some resemblance with the music of Vangelis. Very clear, very beautiful melody. I really enjoyed that track very much. The next track, called Waves, is a bit of a, again, this industrial idea. You know, some heavy machines, some bass. It's a bit of a dark melody kind of, and what's used in this track and also recorded with this simple microphone is a glockenspiel. You know, it's very nice that he added those little touches to the music, make it extra special. Then we come to track number 5, The Shadow. Here we finally hear the main influence of Synthex, Jean Michel Jarre. You know, when you listen to that track, very obvious you hear it. Moving on to track number 6. The next track, A Mechanical Dream, kind of resembles the track Waves a little bit. It opens with a sort of a sample from a huge machine, you know, that is working, and it moves over in that same kind of industrial heavy bass sound, which I kind of very much like. He also uses it in the second track, Pythagoras Part 2, you know, so he kind of likes to get that sound back in a couple of tracks on this album. Then I think we come to one of my favorite tracks of the album, View from Above. It's one of the longer tracks, again 10 minutes, and next to the again, here we have the Jarre influences again, but he also adds something to it that I mentioned earlier in the review. Here he adds this melodica sound, you know, just stood there in his studio with this microphone, no fancy recording equipment, just very simple, very basic, but the end result is really impressive and it sounds fantastic on that track. Visages is one of the last tracks, one of the shorter tracks, and this is a very, well, almost new age kind of song. Very ambient, very chill out kind of music, you know, very nice, and then, well, a little bit more back to basic. With the track Meta Pontem, and this is again, you know, amazing for this young boy. I mean, 12-13 years old when he composed this music. It opens with the church organ sounds, really big, massive sounds. Then he goes into the main melody and adds all kinds of things, and he closes the song with well, basically some space music. And the last 30 seconds are very nice. And if you think, hey, that sounds kind of familiar, and especially if you're listening to progressive rock a lot, check out the Jabberwocky album by Clive Nolan and Oliver Wakeman. And then listen to the last 30 seconds of this album and see, you know, if you can hear the resemblance, you know. So, altogether, a very fine album. Of course, it's not perfect. You hear, you know, some small mistakes in the music. That is, of course, well, that has to do, of course, with, first of all, the fact that it was all played in real time. Secondly, well, without any fancy recording equipment, and also, you know, we're talking about a young boy, 12, 13 years old, making this kind of music, making music that totally does not fit his age. But on the whole, I gotta say, this is an album that I definitely enjoy listening to. Despite the small flaws, it shows the potential of this young musician. And I'm very happy that he's really showing his passion for the music and showing that he has the skills to compose beautiful songs. Now, I can already tell you he is working on a second album, and I've heard bits and pieces of it, and it sounds even much better than Pythagoras. But for now, I say give this young musician your support. Buy this album at Groove Unlimited. You can even buy there an MP3 or a FLAC version, so you can have a digital one or a CD one. And a last bit of news. Synthex is also on the nomination list for a Schallwelle Award, which is a German award that's been given to, well, outstanding musicians or outstanding albums. So, well, if you have a chance, you can vote for him and support this young man. Maybe he'll become the youngest musician ever to win a Schallwelle Award. Now, please check him out, support him. Synthex, Pythagoras.